In his State of the City address, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced the introduction of the Municipal Identification Cards for the city's 500,000 undocumented immigrants. These ID cards will help the undocumented New Yorkers do something as simple as checking out a book from the library. Chinwe Onia has more.
To all of my fellow New Yorkers who are undocumented, I say, New York City is your home too, and we will not force any of our residents to live their lives in the shadows.
Bill de Blasio's announcement of a proposal for municipal identification cards for all New Yorkers regardless of immigration status was met with loud applause. With these cards, New York City residents, mainly undocumented immigrants, can open up bank accounts, check out library books, and lease apartments. For 27-year-old Rafael Cecina, that means not having to carry around his passport. The Brooklyn College graduate has been living in the United States for over 10 years, but finds it hard having only one type of ID.
It's a hassle. It's very hard to walk around with just that type of ID. If I had to go anywhere that requires me to get in with an ID, I can't. Hospitals, consulate, going out to bars, or even some restaurants or different places.
An identity card is crucial to, being a part of the city. It would also allow immigrants to be on leases for their housing, and it would basically provide a way also to really release the tension between immigrants and police, because therefore with people having identity cards, they don't have to be worried about being stopped and not having ID, or have that sort of sense and fear of deportation.
Although this card is meant for the undocumented, they're not the only ones who can benefit from having an ID card.
The ID card, when it's implemented, will be for all New Yorkers, regardless of status. It is not specific to undocumented people, and that's why we're working to make sure that it is a card that even if you are, an American citizen and you live in New York City, you will also have a municipal ID card. So there is no way for police.
Having IDs will help victims of abuse report crimes to the police, says Lynn Conibert of Safe Horizon. Being undocumented has kept immigrants quiet about the crime they witnessed for fear of deportation.
One of the things that an abuser will often do to keep his person under control is to say, you are undocumented, you could be deported, I'm going to report you to the authorities, you're not going to pick up the phone and call the police against me. And if someone has an ID, an official government ID, she's going to feel so much more safe and not be afraid to call 911.
New York City isn't the first in providing cards for undocumented immigrants. New Haven, Connecticut, and San Francisco have implemented IDs for their residents in 2007 and 2009. But some immigrant advocates say there's more the undocumented need more than ID cards.
The most important thing for them is to have a work authorization in the United States, and that's not going to substitute that.
People are so used to having, I'm so used to having my passport with me. I always walk around with it. So it's not it wouldn't make much of a difference. It would make my life easier, yes, but it wouldn't be much of a difference, especially for New York.
No details like pricing or an application process has been released about the cards, but the proposal will go to City Council in coming weeks. Chinwe Onia, Manhattan.